Our buried lead. This is a story that we think is not getting enough attention, and we're talking about the abortion clinic where Dr. Kermit Gosnell allegedly killed babies who had survived illegal late-term abortions, and also where a woman allegedly died of a botched painkiller injection.
Many more casualties at that Philadelphia clinic than in Boston or in Newtown. But why has the press ignored it? Let me read from the Courier-Times, a newspaper that did cover the event. This is a quote from J.D. Mullane, who wrote, "Thursday's testimony had sensational details. The court staff, convinced it would attract journalists from around the nation, had set aside 3 rows of seats to accommodate up to 40 reporters. But all Thursday morning, as Ashley Baldwin testified to horror after horror, only 1 reporter was in the reserved seating. Me. We've got a picture of those empty seats right now. Well, the man who sat in there writing that joins us. His name is J.D. Mullane. He writes for the Courier-Times. Thanks for joining us today, Mr. Mullane.
Thanks, Ezra. Good to be here.
Well, tell me what you saw that day that no other journalists saw. What did you hear and see in Ashley Baldwin's testimony?
Well, it was pretty graphic. It was pretty brutal. Ashley Baldwin began working at Gosnell's clinic in West Philly when she was 15. She was in a pre-medical tech program, and also at age 15, Dr. Gosnell showed her how to administer powerful drugs and even inject women who came to his clinic seeking abortions. And she testified to that. She testified that he would snip the necks of these children who were born alive. She testified that these children, even when they were under the 24-week maximum in the state of Pennsylvania where you can abort a child, even before that, these children would sometimes be born alive. They would be dangling. They would take the mothers and put them in the bathroom of the clinic on a commode, and the babies would be born, and they would be dangling in the toilet bowl beneath the mother, and Ashley would have to call in a senior member of the staff who would then snip the umbilical cord, take the child, snip the child's the backbone, neck, and kill it.
Oh, my God.
It was gruesome. It was grisly. It was lurid. And I was the only one in those seats to hear it.
Oh, my God. You know, right now in our country, we're facing a horrific trial of a cannibal murderer. It is wall-to-wall media coverage. What you're describing is equally macabre and grotesque, and yet I put it to you that it has made no news north of the border, and as we saw from that CNN clip, very little news in the States. Has that changed since Jake Tapper's mentioning it on CNN? Have those 40 empty seats in the courthouse, have they filled up at all, or is now the Boston Marathon the media switcheroo?
Boston Marathon is the main event right now for the news cycle and probably for the next few news cycles. But it will eventually turn back to Gosnell because this is a very long trial. It began on March 18th in Philadelphia, and at that time, the prosecution and the defense was saying it would last 8 weeks. We're now in the 5th week, so we have 2 or 3 more weeks to go. By that time, I think Boston will be out of the headlines. So, as far as what happened after that picture of the empty seats appeared on Twitter and took the Twitterverse by storm, apparently it went viral, it basically goaded big elite media into embarrassment and shame. And yesterday, when I was at the trial, a lot of them were there. The New York Times was there sitting next to me. The Wall Street Journal was there. Reuters, the Wire Service was there. The AP was there. Now, the AP, Mary Claire Dale, has been covering it, but not every day. The Philadelphia Inquirer, the local newspaper in the city, has been covering it, too. Their reporter has filed almost daily reports out of courtroom 304 and what is happening. So those were the reports I was filing when I went down last week because I noticed that it really wasn't getting a lot of play despite the sensational aspects of the case. I mean, this man, according to testimony, according to the grand jury report, if he's convicted, will be one of the greatest mass murderers in American history.
How many murders is he alleged to have committed? I mean, that's the thing. Aborting a baby in utero is one thing, and there is a debate over whether or not that's murder, pro-life versus pro-choice. But I don't think anyone could dispute that a baby who is born and outside its mother's body and alive, who is then killed by cutting its neck, no, I don't think anyone can dispute that that is the definition of murder. How many babies is Dr. Gosnell alleged to have murdered this way?
According to the grand jury report, over 30 years that his clinic was in practice, they say, and they use the word hundreds.
Hundreds. Oh, my God. You know what? He would be the greatest serial killer in American history. I think of the coverage in this country of Luca Magnotta. I think of the coverage of even James Holmes. This dwarfs them all. I'm glad you covered it, and I'm glad you shamed some other reporters there. Thank you for joining us today via Skype.
Thanks, Ezra.